Welcome to today's video. We are at the shop and we've got a bunch of work to get done on the S15. It's time to go over everything, try to fix all of the teething issues, and then we also have a bunch of upgrades to throw at it. So let's get stuck into it. So welcome to my office, guys, under the car. Cannot wait till we get a lift. It's gonna make my life so much easier. But that aside, let's go over all the teething issues that we need to fix. And we've got a few little leaks here and there that need to be resolved. First, power steering. You can kind of see some fluid just sitting there on the lines for the AC compressor. But what's actually leaking is above there on the power steering pump. That little flange fitting there for the low pressure side, the return, is leaking. So there's a little O-ring in there that's probably perished and just needs replacing. Not a big deal. I was planning to change the location of my reservoir anyway, so that helps that out. Also looks like, while we're on the topic of power steering, my power steering rack is blowing out. So we need to get that replaced before it gets any worse. It's coming from inside the boot here. So that just means, like, with drifting and stuff, your power steering racks do wear out over time. So that's probably what's going on here. So we'll send this off to get rebuilt. That aside, we do have a little bit of a oil drain leak on the turbo, which is very hard to see from down here. But the little flange fitting that connects to the bottom of the turbo that then goes to the AN line, it looks like that needs tightening, or we may need to get a better gasket for that. We'll figure that out when we pull it off. And then the drain here is also weeping a little bit of oil, so I'm gonna get that tightened up too and stop that leaking. Otherwise, we have a bit more oil residue down here. This is probably from when I changed the oil, and some oil leaked down when I did the oil filter, so that's just kind of been sitting there probably, but I'll clean that off and investigate it. But from what I can see, there's no oil leaking anywhere around the oil pan or the block, which is really good. It just looks like we have those few little issues that I pointed out. Otherwise, we obviously have the tail shaft issue. I should have a tail shaft next week, early next week, and I'll give you guys a big update on that whole situation and then, but otherwise, that's kind of it. And here's pretty much everything I want to get on. I want to do the whole thermofan conversion, the CWC LS alternator conversion. We've got a GK Tech Hydro kit, which is actually going to be a huge job because we're changing the Skyline rear hubs. We're doing 4 rear Skyline calipers, the little 2-pot ones. So we're going to be doing a whole bunch of stuff in the rear end, which is going to be fun, and getting that all done. Plus battery relocation kit, so we can get that battery located in the back. And then I want to change a bunch of stuff in the engine bay. Obviously, we're deleting this. I want to put a window washer reservoir back in on this side. I want to relocate some stuff here because I want the air filter in this corner and this reservoir's in the way. So I'm going to relocate that somewhere. We may end up being able to put it here where this one is and then move this one down in there. We'll figure that all out as time goes on. But we definitely have a lot of work that we still need to get done on this thing. Well, I worked out my issue with the turbo and the oil leak, and it's just this fitting. This adapter thing, it is, I don't know, it is kind of blowing my mind, but the O-ring fully recessed in there, and it's not a seal whatsoever. I actually hold this up against here, and it's pretty much metal on metal. The O-ring just does nothing. So I'm gonna switch to using a gasket and a little bit of RTV. Maybe I should have done that in the first place, but yeah, I'm really bummed. Like, I would have thought the point of having an O-ring was so that it sealed against the metal surface and you didn't need a gasket, but I guess I was wrong. So I'll put that in there with a really thin layer of high temp RTV and we should be good. Clean all the oil residue off and we'll be fine. I wanted to show you guys some cool stuff. So as you guys know, I share the shop with Jeff. He runs Jitsu Motors and he's been busy these last few weeks and cars have been coming in and out of here. But this is a Rally GC8, an RA edition, because it's got the little rooftop thing there, right? But as you guys know, my Evo has all the holes in the dash where the timer was drilled into it. But this still has the timer. And I worked out how to power it on. So the harness just comes here, but I got my little jump pack here. So I'm gonna connect this up to it and it works like a treat, to be honest. I was kind of a little surprised. Putting that up and then we should be able to just turn this on. Look at that. How cool is this? It's even got a little light here, guys. So this is what was in my Evo. Super cool. And look at these little like spring pen holder things there for the navigator. What does this switch do? Oh, that turns the light on and off. Super cool. This just reminds me of Back to the Future. So I thought that was pretty cool to see one of those in person. I've never been able to like sit down and turn it on. And then we got a nice little automatic Supra here, and this Toyota Kurin, which is actually apparently crazy rare. It's pretty much a Celica with a different face on it and a little bit of different taillights. Literally, like everything kind of looks like a Celica. Even the body and the fenders kind of do, but just, yeah, different front end. Interesting. This Supra looks really good too. I'm kind of jealous. Actually, I wonder if it's got a real like turbo motor in there, or is it NA? Kind of want to have a look. Oh, dude, the cockpit looks so crazy good. It smells like old Toyota. Where are we? There we are. I pulled it. I didn't hear a noise though. Oh, don't they all do this? There it is. They get stuck sometimes. Haha, NA, of course. These things still fetch a big price though now. Such a cool car. Definitely think I need to get a Supra in the future. It's time for an update, and as you can see, turbo and hot side all back together. I did all the lines, made sure they're all nice and tight, and triple checked everything. I don't think we're going to have any more issues with leaks there. I'm quite confident on that fix. That aside, I have now been working on reservoir placement here and where I want my intake pipe and pod filter to be. Now, this is kind of the ideal location here. I actually want this to be tucked a little bit more in this corner here. Ideally, this is where it's going to end up sitting. And that's just because that's the best place for cold air intake, as well as I want to try and get all those cool turbo noises, the whistling and stuff, to kind of be very audible on the outside of the car. So getting that close to those open holes here is going to be perfect for that. Okay, maybe that's my first priority, cold air second. But that aside, that's where I want it to be. And this is the power steering reservoir. I got this loosely sitting here right now, but this is going to be perfect. The lines actually look epic. They run along like the chassis rail there. And this is probably where I'm going to put the coolant overflow. Might even be going up in that towards in that corner there eventually. But for now, that's where I want it. We're going to put it there. Obviously, we're going to get a bunch of real estate back when this battery goes in the trunk. So I think that's the best way it's going to go out, and we'll have the washer bottle there too. But that's definitely how I want everything laid out. It just looks so much better. I am a bit concerned about the hood hitting this though. This is a bit of a long boy. So I just got to be careful of that. We may have to remove the battery tray and then take it to the painter and just get him to spray in that corner. I wish I did that. In hindsight now, I didn't actually think that through when we sent it off to paint, but next time we will. It is the next day, and where I left things was I managed to get the entire like radiator system and everything like that out of the car, and I've actually started, you guys would have seen from the time lapse, started getting everything mounted up. Things don't fit the way they should, and that's because my part, PWR was like, Sam, I need you to measure the radiator, and I just was like, oh, it'll be the same as OEM, just make it to OEM spec, and they like went backwards and forwards with me 2 times, and I kept pressing on them to just make it to OEM radiator spec. Yeah, the Yashio factory 3-row copper radiator is a little bit different, so I've had to bend a few things and cut a few things to make it line up and fit really nice on there. It's fine, it's going to work, no problems, and it is still an incredible product and does for the most part bolt straight in, but this radiator is a little bit more of a thick boy compared to the OEM one. So where they've made like the side channels super deep to go all the way against it, this one, because it's 3 rows, is obviously a little bit yeah, it's in the way. So I've got to make a nice little trim, take about maybe 10 mil off on that side, and then it'll fit there fine. But everything lines up perfect here, and the top points, it's just a matter of clearancing here, and we're pretty much good. But otherwise, we have friends here. We have Lou here. You guys probably remember seeing him at Ebisu, and we've got Walter here too. That's such a nice crutch shot, bro.
Oh yeah, you like that?
I love that. I love that. Walter's a good friend. We've been driving together a fair bit at Ebisu, and we're just talking about helping get his Mark II dialed. What's actually really funny is
I was about to buy his Mark II, but he actually put the deposit down before I could.
The second I saw it.
The second he saw it, he was like putting money down on it and telling Fasto. And then I saw the gray one, like both of them went up at the same time.
Yeah, just like, Banana's old one went up like a week later.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, I need to get one of these. And I was gonna get yours, which I'm glad I didn't, because I ended up hating Mark IIs in the end. I just fell in love with the Chasers. So
I was a Chaser guy from the start. Swapped to Mark II, loved it.
Loved it? Really?
Yeah, so
car drives like balls, doesn't it?
Well, yeah, the car. But
That's not
it's the same car.
It's not the Mark.
Yeah, it's not because it's on Mark II.
Yeah, that's true. All right. Well, in my mind, I'm saying it's that. That's why. But yeah, he ended up snapping that up, and then I got the Chaser, and it's just interesting how things work out. But yeah, we're still working away at this. Walter's been getting the alternator off for me because we're changing over to this beautiful one from CWC Clockworks. These guys seriously make the best kit ever. Super simple, billet pieces all come with it. You can get an LS alternator with it with the right pulley and everything. But the reason why you want to upgrade to this is the stock one here. You can kind of tell side by side that this one's a little smaller, but this doesn't really have enough amperage to deal with 2 spell fans or really any kind of thermo fans, because the S15, how it comes from the factory, it doesn't have radiator fans. It has a little AC fan, that's it. So you need to make sure you obviously upgrade your power supply to support any kind of upgrades you're doing with thermos and stuff. So this thing here, I believe, is like 160 or 180 amps, and it's just a stock LS1 alternator. Everything lines up plug-wise. It's actually identical. It's crazy. It's like Nissan knew that people were going to put LS1 alternators on their cars. It's literally the same plug. So that's a win. You can tell just by looking at it. The windings on this are only like 2 inches in width. The windings on this are like 3 inches in width there. So much bigger, big boy. I like that. I don't really know what I'm saying, but more power is a good thing. So we're going to put this guy in there. It's going to make all the juice that we need to power the spowels. And then, yeah. What do you think, Walter? Did I do that okay?
I think you did a great job.
Yeah.
I think this is going to be an excellent power supply for the car.
The real reason why Walter's my friend is I couldn't grow a mustache, and I needed a mustache in my life. What do you think, Lou? Oh, Lou's also got the facial hair.
Yeah, you need 2 mustaches.
2 mustaches in your life. That's true. Yeah. Make up for the one I can't grow. Big update. A couple more friends rocked up and we were just chilling, hanging for a while. I wish we were filming it, but I was just really enjoying socializing, which is something I don't generally get to do that much, and I've really been working on myself and trying to do it more. So thank you so much to new friends, and I'm excited for working on everyone's cars together. Anyways, that aside, we got a bunch of stuff done, as you would have seen in the time lapse. Walter worked on the alternator, absolute champ. Unfortunately, we couldn't get this thing finished today because the OEM belt I have is just too short. We're gonna go and order I think, what is this, a 5PK 935? We're gonna go with probably 950. That's gonna probably give us enough to get on there and have some adjustability on it. So we'll run with that, maybe even a bit bigger. I'm gonna talk to the guys from CWC and see what they recommend. They did tell me I needed a bigger belt, but I thought because of the ATI Supra damper being a little bit smaller, that was gonna mean that this was gonna be long enough to reach it. But yeah, no, they were right. Definitely need a long one. As you can see, I got the radiator in with the thermo fans. We obviously need to wire them up and stuff, but I'm going to change these tacky plugs here over to some really nice Deutsch plugs, or Deutsch plugs, I'm not sure how they're pronounced, but going to do some nice wiring there with relays and everything in with the Link ECU, and we're going to do a dual fan system for the radiator. Going to have one fan come on and then the second fan come on if this isn't enough to cool it down, and vice versa. So we'll have a system where 2 can come on, as well as a third fan I'm actually going to be mounting on the oil cooler, which is going to all be controlled by the Link ECU, and it'll automatically turn on and what it needs at what points to keep everything perfect temperature-wise. As well, I'm also going to be hooking up the link with the water sprayers that I'm going to be setting up on the radiator, which is going to be really, really cool. Previously, I just had this system here, but I'm going to be changing this and pulling this out and putting something a little nicer in that's only going to be spraying on the radiator, not through the aircon condenser, which I think is going to be much more efficient. But yeah, I'm going to play with the fan stuff and the water stuff in another video, and we're going to do everything dedicated to that without working, and I want to show you guys like a very technical how-to video on that, just because I think that's something that a lot of people overlook, like real proper fan control, setting up with sensors and everything in the ECU so you don't have any issues. Because the biggest thing about drifting is you want to be able to do a lot of laps and get your seat time and keep working and checking and making sure you're doing good. But it's hard to do that if you got to keep going in every 2 or 3 laps because your car's going to overheat. So really, really important. But yeah, otherwise we got all of that done. I brought in the Skyline knuckles from home that I had sitting in my yard for a while. If you guys remember, we parted out a Midnight Purple GTST 33 on an American base a long time ago. And these have been sitting in my yard for the longest time. A little bit rusty on the rotors, but otherwise totally fine. The calipers are up there sitting on the shelf, but we're going to be using these hubs on my S15. Now, when I got them, I was like, yeah, sick, no worries. I'll just clean them up and I'll put them on the S15 after I paint them. But I've decided while I'm here, we might as well do all the bushings on them because they always wear out, and I'd rather put some GK Tech poly ones in or something. So we're going to do that. So I'm going to be disassembling these hubs over the next few days, and I'm going to get some poly GK Tech bushes pushed into all of those. Also, we need to put a bush in this one. We don't have hikers on my car. This needs to be a toe pickup point for the toe arm, so that needs to be a normal bush there too. But yeah, I'm really hyped to run a dual caliper system, and obviously we've got brand new rotors for it too. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. Obviously tail shaft and things like that, but yeah, S15, as far as, you know, teething issues and things like that, I really think we killed it. Like, honestly, when you think about how much of a build the car was, what we've done to it, like the little issues, the little leaks that we've had have been really minimal. Like little changes here and there that I want to do and just improve the car a little bit more with, you know, voltage and wiring and relocating the battery and alternator and all that kind of stuff. Like, that's normal. But yeah, like just those little leaks that we had from, you know, fittings and, you know, the O-ring not sealing and stuff like that is very, 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 very minimal, you know. Teething issues, that's probably the best you can hope for, which is freaking awesome. Drive shaft one, yeah, I'm still not that happy about that. But hey, those things happen and it's fine because I wanted to get all this work done anyway, so it's gonna work out great. I know you guys keep asking about this girl, but man, she's a thirsty one when it comes to drinking oil. Something's definitely up. She burns so much oil now, but let's start her up just for the homies. And by the way, the interior looks so good since we cleaned it. No mold has come back. Very happy about that, but everything just looks so freaking clean. I'm actually so hyped and cannot wait to drive this thing again. Like, look how good my door cards look. They look beautiful. All right, let's crank this up. We in neutral, right? Yep, yep. Oh, I missed that digital dash. Straight to life. Straight to life. Like, anyways, she still just uses a lot of oil. But yeah, like I said, guys, she is next on the list once the S15's all finished, which is very, very soon. And hopefully we'll have lifts in after that too. I've found out some good news today. We should hopefully be able to pull the motor on this and start fixing and working on this. This one doesn't need a whole bunch of work done to it, and depending on what I decide to do with the front end of the car, we just need to do a few little things body-wise on it. Like, it's actually really good. Like, we don't have any of the rust in the strut towers on this thing. Like, the struts are solid, right? But we do have a little bit of rust just here. So that's super easy to fix. You can actually get this piece still from Nissan and replace that. And I do have the typical trunk tail light rust issue. I don't have any rust in under here on the rear windshield. I just have it around the tail lights and the back panels. So we may need to just put a whole new back panel in. It's not a big deal. I may actually also get the rear quarter changed, just because if you guys remember, we had a pretty big accident and there's a fair bit of filler in this quarter panel here now. Is it here? Here, I think. You know what? It doesn't really feel like it. Where did I hit and crash the most? I think it was my front fender, wasn't it? My rear got damaged a little bit here, I think. I don't know. Anyways, I'll investigate that later, but I do remember that this was kind of banged up here in this corner here a fair bit. So There's definitely a bit of filler there, but it may not be as bad as I thought, so we probably don't need to change it, just tap it out some more. But yeah, and get this thing painted, a few things fixed up on it. I'm torn, actually. I'm gonna do a poll on my YouTube community page, and I want you guys to decide, are we doing back to 33, or are we redoing 34 front on this thing? I feel like I have to stick to 34 front end, personally, just because of what this car represents and what it means to me. But obviously we're going to use an entirely new kit for the front end to do 34 if we're going that route. If we go 33, I need to do GTR everything. GTR fenders and everything, make it wider. But yeah, I kind of like the 34 front end, to be honest. I think it was a very important part of the channel and something that was unique. And this thing with its plans of motor build is going to just be insane. So yeah. And another thing that you guys keep asking about is the Evo. And please, when I say this, guys, I really mean it. But remember when I first got this car, I said long-term project. Long-term. This is a long-term project. And I know a lot of people keep asking for updates and stuff like that, but there really is no update. I'm still trying to find the right body guy. I thought we found one. He kind of flaked on me and ghosted me. So we're hoping to find another guy, and I think I may have found a couple actually that may be interested in taking on this big job. Yeah, for the time being, I'm kind of parts hunting for it, trying to collect all the OEM parts and things like that for the rockers, the seals, and the rear quarter and back panel. Actually, if any of you guys have any resources in the USA and can get me like the CE Lancer, which is the same supposedly as Evo 5 and 6, if any of you guys have access to a back panel and a rear quarter, as long as they're the same as the Evo, I will happily pay for those to come over, and also a fee for you guys. Like, I need those so bad, and apparently you guys have a fair few of them still in stock in the USA. So if anyone has access to Mitsubishi parts over there, please, please, please find out if you can get that and DM me on Instagram. I will be more than happy to pay you for it. That will help me out a lot to get that shipped here, because they're discontinued now in Japan, and they didn't really make any of those base models that are the same here, or they just don't have parts for them, and they're being very, very difficult to work with, Mitsubishi parts. But yeah, anyways, that's where I'm at with the Evo. There is no update. I'm just trying to find all the parts that I need for it so I can drop everything off at the body shop, and we can just kind of check in there with updates once he starts working on it. But it's a huge project. You know, I have been thinking about doing a bit of work myself with rust repair and stuff on it. Yeah, it's a big job, and the way that I have my shop set up right now with the space that I have and the equipment that I have, I'm very, very limited to what I can and can't do. So that is definitely, like, this is just think of the Evo as forever back burner for now. Okay, trust me, it's coming back. It's gonna be a sick street time attack build. It's gonna be amazing. But yeah, long-term project. Say it with me, guys. Long-term project. All right, awesome. So that's where I'm going to leave today's video. Yes, I know, a bunch of talking, and I was hoping this video was going to end with a little bit more of a nicer note, like maybe like getting the car running again or something like that. But obviously I don't want to rush this stuff, and I want to get this all dialed in and perfect. This is kind of like, you know, fixing all those teething issues, touching up some things we didn't get to touch, and making things even better on the S15. So bear with me, guys. This thing will be ripping soon. We will be doing a dyno soon, doing the regular high octane gas tune. I'm hoping for, you know, high 400s with that. I don't think we're gonna break 500 without E85, but we could. You know, I'm not gonna be surprised, because I know the G25 pushes out a bunch of power and boost. But yes, a lot of stuff coming soon on the S15. Get excited. Thanks for watching. Thanks for liking, commenting, and subscribing. And I will see you all in the next one. Thanks, guys. Peace out. Jamata.